What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. I want to take a look at battling SIKI, who's to your left, and Orchard Man, George CARPENTIer, who's to your right. These two men would get it on in 1922, which, by the way, was some year for boxing. Not only was it the beginning stages, the debut of the Ring magazine, who was the editor, Nat Flasher. You also had a fight with Gene Tunney and Harry Greb for the America's Light Heavyweight Championship belt, which Harry Greb would take from Gene Tunney, and that would be his only defeat. You also had Kid Norfolk, Sam Langford. Sam Langford knocked out Kid Norfolk in the second round. This is amazing stuff. But battling SIKI would become the light heavyweight champion, the first black fighter to win that title in boxing history. Now keep in mind, it was for the World Light Heavyweight Championship. Battling SIKI was born September 16, 1897 in Paris, France. But he was the descendant of Africa. He died December 15, 1925. He was 28 years at the age of his death. And he would die in Hell's Kitchen, New York. 2 bullets in his back. Perhaps, just perhaps, the owner of one of the diners. There was a bar in the back of a diner. He claimed he didn't pay for his shot glass, if you will. He was chased down and caught up. Hell's Kitchen, shot, 2 bullets in the back. And at the age of 28, this very strong former light heavyweight champion would lay on his stomach, gasping for air. What a story. Let's take a look at battling SIKI, George CARPENTIer. Battling SIKI stood 5 foot 10 and a half inches. He had a 75-inch reach. He was a light heavyweight champion with total bouts of 88 fights, 60 wins, 24 losses, 31 knockouts, and he was stopped 4 times. And he was in the ring with Paul Berlenbach, who wound up becoming a light heavyweight champion after Mike McTeague. He would lose by knockout, 10 out of 12 rounds, New York's Madison Square Garden. But also being in the ring with Lee Anderson. Lee Anderson would become the colored light heavyweight champion. He was in the ring with great fighters such as Kid Norfolk, Sam Langford, and others. Fought him November 13th, 1925, on 104, the regiment in the Army. The fight took place in Baltimore. Would also be in the ring with Dixie Kid, who would become a welterweight champion by default. See, referee Dick O'Sullivan would bet on Dixie Kid, made sure he won that fight. But not for long, because the Barbados Demon, who Dick O'Sullivan had cheated in the fight with Dixie Kid, would get his title back. 1904. But Dixie Kid would face battling SIKI August 2nd, 1924 at the Fairgrounds Arena. Dixie Kid had quit in the ring. SIKI was in the ring with Mike McTeague. And he would lose against Mike McTeague. What's interesting about that, he fought him in Ireland, St. Patrick's Day. Mike McTeague was Irish. And the exact same thing happened with Tiger Flowers. So much so that half the arena had booed and screamed robbery. Battling SIKI would eventually face George Carpentier, as well as Rene Duvaus. September 24th, 1922. It was in Buffalo, Montreux, at the Velodrome in France. George Carpentier weighed 174 pounds and Battling SIKI weighed the same. Both men were dropped in the third round. George Carpentier went down in the fifth round with a body shot delivered by SIKI. Battling SIKI would once again have George down for an 8 count. And it would end it in the 6th round. Meanwhile, George would score 2 knockdowns in the 3rd round. The World Light Heavyweight Championship belt was on the line, and George would claim to his cornermen that his knuckles, he felt, were broken. He felt they were broken in his right hand and he could not complete, but they begged him to get back out there and continue to fight. And George had bent over in pain. George would then try to headbutt Battling SIKI, while the crowd booed at their own champion. Finally, SIKI struck Carpentier with a rib shot. George was counted out. A referee, Henny Bernstein. See, the French newspaper did their best to build this fight up, saying it was an easy bout, but very dangerous. Circumstances would happen. Why? Because Battling SIKI, they had called a gorilla. They called him an ape. Said he fought like a leopard. They said anytime he talked or breathed, ripping muscles from his neck would emulate a gorilla. They said his dark skin and white bright teeth showed the makings of an animal. And his own manager had called him the Negrode. And it was endorsed by the reporters. Battling SIKI's manager, Charlie Hellers, had called him an ape. And although offensive, but they thought it would be good marketing on behalf of Battling SIKI. Battling SIKI had jokingly responded back, stating he never went to a jungle in his life. The SIKI would dress up in expensive suits and hats and shiny shoes. Fans packed the Velodrome, 5,500 deep. The Orchard Man, George Carpentier, was boxing since the age of 14. He started as a junior referee. You see, this was a fixed fight that did not go George Carpentier's way. It was almost like Stanley Ketchel, Jack Johnson. When Ketchel tried to go off script with Jack Johnson, Johnson would get up and flatline Stanley Ketchel, crucifixion style, in the 12th round. He would lay him out like if he was part of the canvas. George Carpentier's corner, as well as the newspapers, tried to get his title back. But the reporters and the judge at ringside stated no way. That would be an injustice to Battling SIKI, and so his title remained. And back in the States, Battling SIKI had turned down many offers with Sam Langford, Battling Norfolk, to face Mike McTeague in Ireland. And he would be robbed of his light heavyweight championship belt. And from that point on, his life went downhill. He began to drink. He was always getting in trouble with the law. He rebelled, one would say. He would run out of bars without paying for his drink. And eventually it caught up to him. Hell's Kitchen, Lower Manhattan, between 54th and 53rd. He was shot with 2 bullets in the back. Sad story. But battling SIKI. Didn't take boxing seriously. Lost fights that he should have won. He was very strong and very capable. George Carpentier was given an opportunity in 1921 with Jack Dempsey, the Manassamo, the first $1 million gate. He was knocked out in the 4th round. That fight should have been Kid Norfolk. An agreement was made between Jack Dempsey and Kid Norfolk's manager back in 1918 that he would get a shot. And eventually, Jack Dempsey would become heavyweight champion of the world in 1919 when he knocked out Jess Willard. He was still promised and giving Kid Norfolk a shot in 1921. But some way, somehow, they dug up George Carpentier, gave him an opportunity instead. And even after that fight, Kid Norfolk would never get the shot that he was promised. But George Carpentier, who became light heavyweight champion, would lose his title to the first black light heavyweight in boxing history, battling SIKI. Salute to battling SIKI. All great fights and all great fighters will never be forgotten on my channel. I'm Scrapbook Boxing. And I'm proud to introduce a fighter who did get an opportunity, but like a lot of fighters, didn't take the game serious. And so he would lose his crown in an unjust way to Mike Mateague. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Until next time. Peace.